team. Following on from my last Sketchpad video, a few people asked me some questions, and the main one was the comment I made about averaging of thought process, which surprised a lot of people. You may remember this diagram, but we moved right on and we were saying that there is a zone at the top of that diagram in which we want to operate in our success zone, and that we go between positives and negatives on our perceptions, and those perceptions or emotions, when we go negative we sabotage, when we go positive we build. And what we're trying to do is stay in a zone where we don't do either. We stay in this, what's called the success zone. And the success zone is where you're focused on what you really want, and you're not either elating it, which is getting ahead of yourself, or getting behind yourself, which is sabotage. You're staying in the zone. One of the comments I made, however, was that this is a picture of the average of the 7 areas of life. And I think it's really important for us just to have a quick look at it, remembering that it goes from love to at the top, which is a thought of a balanced thought, 1 positive to 1 negative. 1 negative here, 1 positive here, which is a balanced thought. And in a balanced thought, we occupy a certain part of the brain which cannot think emotionally. So if you give the brain, your mind, 2 opposite thoughts, it can't work out which one to think. It actually hands back the power of thought. In other words, you get out of your ego. We know choose to is 2 to 1, desire to is 3 to 1, and it can be negative or positive. So it could be 4 to 1 over here, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, 7 to 1, negative to positive. And we know elation, this is depression. This is 7 negatives to 1 positive. But it could be, if we had 7 over here and 1 here, it could be elation, which is woo and completely nuts. So we get a lot of people walking around the world elated, thinking that that's the best thing, but what they don't know is it actually is the causation of depression. People who have depression don't know that they are actually thinking 7 negative thoughts to 1 positive thought. They don't know that somewhere in their subconscious there's a balance. This 7 is over here is hidden from view. In other words, we're always in balance, but not in our perception. And when we perceive something to be a 7 to 1 or a 1 to 7, when we perceive it that way, it actually, we're misperceiving it. An imbalanced thought is an emotion, energy and motion, imbalanced thought. And down the bottom of the cone, we're going backwards and forwards like so. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. All the emotions feel great. They feel like you're achieving something. They feel like you're running a marathon. They feel adrenaline producing, cortisol producing. They feel fantastic. But actually the net result is 0, a big fat 0 right in the middle. We know that gratitude takes you up the cone. We know that the emotional shower moves you up the side of the cone. We know that emotional showers move you up. And what we're trying to do is find this conscious space. Now, what I said earlier was that there are actually 7 cones. There's the relationship cone, there's the financial cone, there's the mental cone, there's the health cone, there's the career cone. What have we left out? Mental, we've got relationship, which equals family, with a social cone and the spiritual cone. And if we're operating, let's say we're in a got-to space financially, we're down here in a got-to place financially, and we're an actor or we're a business leader, and in our career we're trying to perform in the success zone. It's impossible, because this total picture here, the total picture adds up to our what's called our VIP score, our emotional state. and we gravitate down, as any business does, by the way, to the lowest emotion in the group. So if there's a leader in a business who's in a got-to space at home, in their family and relationship, they're in a got-to space, and they come to work trying to be successful in their success space, this emotion here affects this pyramid here. And so there is what's called the lowest common denominator of us. And if this were a group of people, person 1, person 2, person 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the lowest person in the group becomes the most dominant. Now that is why we have to work so hard on the success formula, because if we want to be in the success zone, we have to be in the success zone in 7 areas of life, not just 1. Now, a person who's in the success area of life in their career, going to work saying, I know my affirmations, I know my work, but I've got a shit family life, or I've got shit health, or I don't care about my money, all I care about is my social contribution and the environment. That person ends up operating at their lowest common denominator, even if they say, I love changing the world socially. So this is a really important piece of work, because it says every area of life, family, money, mental, health, social, career, spiritual, every area of life is critically important for the success of the highest value. Now, we might get a lot of money in the bank and not even consider ourselves a success. We might have $5 million of net worth and we go, I'm a failure, because it's not our highest value. So we integrate in this diagram our values. Now, I really want to say nothing is more important. When they say in a spiritual language, or when they say in self-help, know thyself, what they mean is know your values. In other words, if you're brought up in a family where business success and career success, you might say, my career, which is running a 100-meter sprint, or my career, which might be working in a hospital, or my career, which is bringing up a family, my career is number 1. I support it by being socially conscious. I support it by being spiritual and relaxed. I support it with a great family. I support it with financial stability. I support it with mental knowledge and acumen in the mental state. And I'm supported by doing my yoga, my running, my breathing, and my practices. So what happens here is, you can see every individual has a unique thumbprint specific state of their value set. What it means is, one of those 7 areas of life stand tall amongst all the others, but you can't have one area of life completely incubated or isolated from the rest. Now, if you're a Formula 1 racing car driver and you get into a car and you drive that car for an hour and a half, say in a practice session, or 2 hours in a race, or an hour and a half in training, in the car, you must be in the zone. You must be in this place. And in that case, if you've got something going on at home or personally, or you've got something going on with your money, you've invested it badly, you can what's called compartmentalize yourself into a state where you're completely oblivious to everything else that's going on in your life. Now, that's a Formula 1 racing car driver, and you as a leader in a business, or you as a parent in a home, or you can go into the zone and become oblivious to whatever's going on in your life for a while. And those temporary states of being oblivious or compartmentalization, they're very important. They're very critical to your performance. But let's be real. If you're a leader of a business, or you're an actor, you're in on stage, and as it were, 24/7, 7 days a week. You can't jump in and out. So if you jump into the zone, when you get out and your life turns to poop, and you haven't got any money, or you haven't got a relationship, or you haven't got a healthy connection to nature and love and God and all these other things, what goes on outside the work makes it harder and harder to get into the zone. And so we've acknowledged that balance in life, which is not what everyone thinks, it's not placid, relaxed, sitting in the backyard with a pina colada or drinking beer. Balance in life means in the zone in all 7 areas of life, and it's absolutely possible. Let's just have another quick look at this state. Consciousness, love to, choose to, desire to, they're all states of mind. And this is, when we talk about the 7 areas of life, and we're talking about the VIP score, the total score, we're talking about your spiritual quotient. Spiritually, it's the addition of every single of the 7 areas of life, or let's call it 6 and leave spiritual off. Spiritually, it's the addition of them all. And so this is you on a long-term sustainable basis. Going back to this thing, if you go to work and you compartmentalize yourself, even though you're getting fatter and fatter, or you're getting like a light bulb bum, or a double bum, or you're getting sore knees, or you're getting thump palpitations in the heart, or a shorter breath, or you're getting headaches, you are compartmentalizing your career. Very clever. Racing car driver, Formula One, congratulations. There's nothing better. You're doing a great job at the cost of your health, which will affect your relationship, which will affect your social quotient. And bit by bit, it starts to take its toll. And so sustainability means the compartmentalization is there if you need it, but it's something you would be best not to use very often, only in a case of an emergency. So what happens is all the 7 cones, or 6 of them, form a cone. So in fact, these are the sides of a pyramid. You may have seen a pyramid before in Egypt, where it has different sides going up and down it, different areas. And so there's a 7-sided pyramid, each with their little ladder of got to love to. And that's why managing each area of life is really important. That's why a great home life and love at home is really important to success. Now, as I said, you can compartmentalize success. You can compartmentalize this area of your life and say, to hell with all the others. But that success comes at a cost. And usually that cost, whether it's financial, whether it's love, whether it's your health, which is, goodbye Charlie, whether it's your social equity, which being liked, friendships, connections, whether it's at the cost of your mind, which means you go nuts, you have emotional, and you become irrelevant in the world because you've become so obsessed with your career. What we're trying to do with the coaching, what we're trying to do with Innerwealth, is introduce to the world what's called nature's law. Nature's law says there are 5 things that you need to take into account. 1, the law of balance. Always look for the positive and negative in everything. If you get the first one right, you have bypassed the emotion, which is at the bottom of the cone. You've moved up. The second one is the law of growth. What we've said is you grow at the border of positive and negative. So you don't get hooked on morals and ethics. You construct a vessel in which you say, I feel appropriate doing this, I feel inappropriate doing that. You're not being righteous like a religious fanatic. You're not being wrongous like a self-abusing, self-harming individual who cuts themselves and things. What you're saying is, I've got a growth mindset. So this is overcoming the emotion. This is a growth mindset. Now we get into what's called the need to area of life, which is where Maslow starts to crescendo and says, well, if you get to want to, you've self-actualized. Now this is called self-obsessed or narcissism. This is where the only thing important is you, me, and I. And what we do in the 30-day challenge, you may remember it, is we do an I talks. We spend a week trying not to say the word I. I want, I need, I think, I want, I need, I think, I need, I want. And what we're trying to do is get the energy up from the belly, from your belly, although we want to own where it comes from, and we want to bring it up into our throat, into our sense of having a purpose in life. Because up in this area of the cone, this is where we start to really take off. This is where we get a purpose greater than self. So this is self, this is the ego, and this is beyond the ego. And this is where success starts. This is where real success. And the first step that we revealed the other day with the work we did and the podcast was you've got to treat yourself as a success in order to be a success. This is Chris. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.